welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm here with Rachel Coffey. Rachel, I have a bad time remembering names, but Coffey, that's an easy name to remember. Rachel Coffey.
So my husband and I were dating. He said, he's like, did you know that that Joe, was it a cup of Joe is slang for a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
And of course I was this Mormon girl. And so I was like, no, whatever. He was a jokester.
Oh my
gosh. So I was like, I didn't believe him. So he pulls out a dictionary and he shows me a cup of Joe is a cup of coffee. I was like, wow.
You know, I read his name, Joe Coffey, and that for some reason didn't hit me. But oh my gosh, you're so right. This is a classic name, Joe Coffey. Man. Okay, Joe Coffey, age 50, a devoted husband, father, and disciple of Jesus Christ, passed away on September 19th, 2021. His beloved family and many friends mourn his loss. He is survived by his wife of 24 years, Rachel, and their 9 children, Jace, Ethan, Bryce, Lydia, Emma, Levi, Madeline, AC, and Max. Also his first granddaughter, June. Rachel, how old are your kids? Can we go through them real quick?
Jace would have been 26 now. And Ethan's 25. Bryce is 20.
I'm putting you on the spot here, huh? I just wanted like are these like little kids? I just didn't know where they're at. That's like so Bryce? Many kids.
Oh my gosh, I'm spacing for some reason.
But you have some in their 20s.
And then I have 18, 16, 13, and then Madeline's 9, AC's 7, and Max is 6. So my baby was 3 at the time. Not even 3 when my husband went in the hospital.
Like when I had 3 kids, like you mix up the names. Like you have a baseball roster of names. Like you mix them up like every time you try to talk to one. This is like, that's so many kids.
I do sometimes, yeah. Like
wow.
I wish I didn't, but I do.
Okay. And first granddaughter, June. Okay, other surviving family. Sorry.
It's her birthday today.
It's June's birthday today.
And she's 4.
And she's 4. Aw.
Yeah.
Little baby. Well, happy birthday. He is preceded in death by his adoptive father, Rick Coffey. Joe was born August 4th, 1971, to Pete Herrera and Nancy Coffey in Raton, New Mexico. Raton, sorry.
That's okay.
Ryan might have to help me out with that one. Raton, that's pretty bad mix-up. That doesn't sound good. The youngest of 4 boys, Joe was eventually adopted by Rick Coffey and spent much of his childhood growing up in St. John's, Arizona. As a young adult, he spent 2 years in San Diego, California, serving a full-time missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The highlight of Joe's life was his family. He married his sweetheart, Rachel, on April 16th, 1997. A wonderfully kind and loyal husband, Joe and Rachel were best friends and eternal companions. He also loved his children tenderly. Watching his children participate in sports and play the piano brought him great joy. Joe loved to tell jokes and laugh with his family. A jack of all trades, he owned a 1953 Packard that he liked working on. He shared his passion for fixing cars by teaching his boys to do the same. Joe was an avid cook. He loved to prepare and try new foods with his family, especially Mexican dishes. For Joe, the spicier the better. Mm-hmm. I agree, Joe. Joe will be remembered for his testimony and commitment to the gospel of Jesus Christ. He strived to follow God in all areas of his life. This was most evident in how he showed kindness, patience, and love for everyone around him. His life will be forever cherished by those who knew him best. Rachel, how did he pass away? I know he passed away during COVID.
It's COVID.
Well, I didn't know if that meant like it was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to read Jayce's next. Jayce Tucker Coffey, age 23, passed away October 26, 2021, in Santan Valley, Arizona. There are no words to describe the heartbreak of losing him at such a tender age. He was adored and appreciated in all his roles as a son, a brother, and a new father. He is survived by his daughter, June. Oh, wow. I didn't. Sorry.
It's his baby.
Yeah. June. What's her middle name? Is it Bea? B-E-A?
June B.
June B.
Yeah.
June B. Coffey. Sorry, I just got choked up.
I couldn't remember there for a second.
I just didn't realize it was his child when we were talking about June earlier. He is survived by his daughter, June, his mother, Rachel, his 8 younger siblings, Ethan, Bryce, Lydia, Emma, Madeline, AC, and Max Coffey, and his grandparents, Harold and Jane Norton. Born October 7th, 1998, to Joe Coffey and Rachel Norton Coffey, Jayce was the oldest of 9 children. This responsibility was perfect for him. He loved to spoil his brothers and sisters and was very generous with his time and money. He often shared treats, trips, and surprises with his family, which they treasured. Becoming a father himself was one of his greatest joys. Jace was proud to be a girl daddy and showered his daughter, June, with his affection. He enjoyed serving his family and friends. Jace will be remembered for his fun-loving personality. As a kid, there wasn't a frog, bug, or lizard he couldn't catch. He was also really good at computers. He could build computers and he could fix them too, which he often did for family and friends. He had a self-proclaimed talent as a hacker, and sometimes he used his technological skills for teenage mischief. Man, I could have used him when I was, that sounds useful.
He broke into the school system, I think, or something.
That's where my brain was going. Like, that's so cool.
Brilliant, and he didn't even know it.
Jace also liked gaming, sketching, and the family pets. In high school, he participated in wrestling and ran cross country. Of all his hobbies and interests, the one he favored the most was detailing his car and making improvements. He loved the thrill of driving fast. There is hope and healing knowing that Jace is now on the other side with his father, Joe. Together, they continue to serve their family and loved ones as ministering angels. Although his time on earth was short, Jace brought joy and happiness to others. Because of Jesus Christ, we know that Jace will be resurrected and one day he will live again. Man, he did everything. He was a computer hacker, lizard, catching lizards, sports, sketching, gaming.
He was my go-getter. He was not a sit-still kind of kid.
Should be a good episode today. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast, where life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Rachel, we got through the obituaries. I usually kind of just ask people where they want to start, but before I do that, I want to ask you, because you were very conflicted. Like, I asked you to, come on, can you share your story and how you've been handling it? And you were, you just didn't know at first, but here you are. And I just wanted to ask, what that process was like for you and what made you want to show up today.
I'm kind of a quiet person, I guess you could say, normally, and I don't really like to be in the spotlight at all. My husband was very social, that was his thing. I would gladly let him be the spokesperson.
You were a good duo. He would.
Yes,
yeah.
He was the.
You were Pippin. Yeah. He was MJ.
Yeah. So, so this is speaking up is hard for me, but at the same time, it rocked our family to the core.
Yeah.
And there's the difference between somebody passing from an illness than somebody passing from a suicide. And if I don't get the courage to speak up. Like, these kids are hurting. And like, I'm hoping that if somebody hears my story, it can prevent somebody else from doing the same thing. And as hard as it is for me, it's like I don't want any other family to go through this at all. It was horrific.
Yeah, I think that's something that I relate to. Like, after a car accident with my family, and like why I wanted to start a podcast was the same reason. Like,
Just speak up.
I want someone who's experiencing what I'm experiencing to have a community or a group or something to listen to, or just know that they're not alone.
Right.
Or because that's how I felt. You just feel broken and alone, and no one understands you. And
Right.
and then you kind of decide, like, okay, what are we gonna do about this? Are we gonna respond to this and try to help people with it,
Right.
or just continue to just kind of act like it's not there, maybe? And I also think, like, it's just the we is greater than me mentality. And I think you have that. Like, you don't really want to be here, but it's the fact that you can help other people that got you here.
If losing my son can help somebody else see the ripple effect of suicide and the devastation that it can cause and see the aftermath, and to maybe open eyes to stop this, then I've done something. At least I can find something good out of this horrific thing. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. I think podcasting is cool because I don't know, like, how much, I don't know if you go to therapy or how much you talk about that day, or I don't know how much you talk about it really, but I think it's so hard to talk about. I remember the first time I was doing therapy, I'm like, this is making it worse. Like, why are we talking about it? I hurt worse now. But like, for some reason, the cameras and the lights and just knowing that there's people listening and that could
It's
get
the
something.
purpose.
Yeah, it just pulls
gives
it
a
out of you.
purpose.
And
it's
like,
I'm doing this with a purpose, not to just vent.
yeah.
And it's like, it's all about purpose.
Right.
I've learned that I can speak to people and tell them the story if there's a purpose. If I'm just talking or therapy or whatever, like, it's just like, this isn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has to be the right time and the right place and the right atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's why, again, I love this format because, like, okay, phone's down. Mm-hmm. We're looking at each other. We planned it. It's on the schedule, so we know what we're talking about, and it's completely normal, and you can be comfortable in this space to talk about it because it's really hard to find moments to do that. And
not a lot of people connect on the grief level, so they don't understand. Like, they try to as much as they can.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and like, I don't know what it's like to lose a kid to suicide. Yeah. I have no idea what that's like. But I think the point is, when you get people together like this and to talk about grief, you're going to reach people that are experiencing that and be able to help them. And I think that's the gift of the grief, is talking about it and finding help and getting help and giving help.
Right. And helping somebody else. Like, recently I went to somebody's house she just lost her daughter, and it was like, sat with her and I talked with her, and I'm like, okay, I can relate to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can just getting down on someone else's level. It felt good to just be able to be there for her, even though I couldn't fix the problem. Like, I've kind of been in a situation where I don't want to not feel the same, but feel similar. So I'm like, just more empathy, I guess, and more understanding.
No, well, then I'm glad you decided to come and talk. And so, yeah, like, where do you want to start with your story here? I'm not sure where to begin.
At the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, take us there.
It's a long story.
Well, we got time.
Let's see. It all started in August. Oh gosh, I haven't shared a whole lot of it. My husband had gone on a trip with my son to San Diego, and he got back and he wasn't feeling the greatest. And I didn't think anything of it, whatever. And days progressed and he started getting worse. And he liked to work through because he worked from home. And so he just liked to work through it, and then he'd go lay down when he'd get home, or when he was done working. And so the first couple days he worked through it. Then he finally took some days off because it started getting worse. So, and then like a couple days into his, I got sick too. So I've never been so sick in my life. We'd never been sick together. Usually it's him. I'm usually okay. I didn't get it. Or, we take turns. But this time we were both in bed together for 5 days. So he had been sick before. And then I got sick for 5 days after that. And then I started to get better and he didn't. And so when I finally was at the point where like, okay, I'm going to take you, it was a Monday, I think it is. I took him in to urgent care and I couldn't go in with him. That was as frustrating as and I wasn't feeling good either at the time. I was still kind of under the weather. So wow, this is hard. I'm going to share this stuff. I sat in the lobby. I got him signed in and everything. I sat in the lobby and he went in and talked to the doctor. And then I remember being on the phone and hearing like a little bit of information, but I should have been on the phone the whole time because when he came back out, I was like, what did they say? You know what I mean? And he said he had COVID pneumonia, but at that time I wasn't worried. He's 50 years old, healthy, had no underlying issues. I was like, okay, no big deal. They gave him an IV, they'd give him fluids, and I thought, okay, he'd be fine. He walked out. He was fine, thought he was better. And then I remember he got in the car and he says, he knew I like ice cream. So he's like, hey, there's a Freddy's over there. You want to go? And he's just always thinking of me. And I was like, Joe, I don't feel good either. Like I just went into the car and slept because I was still trying to recover. And I was like, no, I don't feel good. So then we drove home. I think we went to go get a prescription, to give him a prescription, went home, and we thought he was doing better. Even my little 4-year-old at the time was like, he noticed Dad's doing better. And then 3 days later, I woke up to him sitting on the side of the bed. And he didn't even wake me up. He just on the side of the bed. And I remember sitting beside him and I got next to him. I don't think I was in my right mind either at the time. Because I should have just called an ambulance. And I didn't. And I sat beside him and I sat close to him and I like tried to get him to breathe because he wasn't breathing very well. It was like pretty deep. And then we got him dressed and he walked out to the car, got in, and I took him to the hospital. And obviously it's COVID and they let me go in for a minute. But I was kind of like I said, I still wasn't feeling well, so I didn't stay. And I wish I would have just stayed there. I don't even remember. And the hard part is I don't remember telling him goodbye. Like I don't remember what I did in that moment. Because I didn't think it was the end. I was like, he's going to beat this. I just still didn't think that.
There's so much shock.
Right. Like in my mind, I was like, this isn't the end. Like even though I knew that people going to the hospital, I knew that all that things, where things could go. But in my mind, I was like, I didn't see anything that it was going to be a problem.
Well, like when you told me it was during COVID, I still wasn't like, because when I think of people dying from COVID, I think of very
Older,
old
right.
people. And so like, yeah, like I'm sure and then I don't know if this is the right time to ask you this, but like, not to make it a political thing at all, but like so many people just thought it was a joke or just didn't take it serious or just I don't know, complaining about weird things with it. And here you are, like, my husband's dead.
Well, and the thing is, there's some people who are like 3 weeks and they have COVID and then they're fine. He had like 8 days. It was like before he had COVID pneumonia, like it was only like 8 days, if that. I think it was about 8 days. So for him to go, like, I just didn't see this coming at all. But, looking back, I was like, as we were laying there in those 5 days and I haven't told my kids this. I don't know if he saw some sort of premonition or something, but there was things that he was saying. I didn't see it till later. Or I didn't realize it, what he said till later. Like, you'll be okay if something happens to me. You guys are okay. I know you'll be taking, we have things set up that you'll be financially okay. And I was like, Joe, don't talk like that, And then he was laying in bed. And he said, I'm afraid. And I was like, Joe, we're just sick. We're not dying, is what I said to him. But look, I don't know what was going on in his head. I wish I would have. You can't go back.
Right, I was about to say.
You so desperately want to go back.
I do this too. Like, I should have done that. But then I'm like, dude, you didn't know there's going to be a sandstorm. You never see him again.
Right. So, like, in your head, you're like, okay, what could I have done differently and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like the whole hindsight thing.
Yeah, but I'm like,
torture yourself.
There was something different in his head than in mine. I'm thinking, we've got this, no big deal. We're just sick. He's obviously thinking something different. And like looking back, I could see that. Anyway, so I dropped him off at the hospital. I had gone in with him. They had put a mask on him and tried to stabilize him. I had kids at home. I needed to get up and get moving. And I should have, like I said, just called somebody else and said, hey, can you go in and take the kids so I can stay here? And I didn't.
You're just saying should have so much as you talk. Like the guilt that you carry, hard. Like it's just coming out in how you're talking even.
It's hard. I have a lot of that. So I remember going home. I remember calling his mom and telling her I took him to the hospital. And the doctor called and said, we have to ventilate him. I was like, what? So that ended up being as huge.
Because I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I do remember like the vent, like that's a big deal with like if they're on ventilators, like red alarm, fire, like this is a big deal. I do remember that.
Yes, it was like a huge. This is not good.
This is a big
they
deal.
Said something was going on with his heart. And they said that, I'm like, does he have heart problems? I'm like, no, he's never had anything, so.
He's a healthy 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right. So then they called me back and they said, never mind, we were able to postpone it. Like, we've got everything figured out. And then like another call later saying they have to, they had to ventilate him. And they're transferring him to a different hospital because they didn't have beds there. And apparently beds were an issue. And
I think you're just in shock. You're just like, I don't know.
I felt, it was, like I said, I still wasn't feeling good. Went home. I couldn't go back because they were like, after that, I wish I would have stayed because after that, they wouldn't let me even go in and see him.
Because it's like no visitors or maybe one.
No.
Just no visitors at all.
And so, and didn't help the next day with my son's birthday. I remember driving down to Tucson to go to my sister's for his birthday. And one of my daughters was realized how badly I communicated with them because my daughter was like texting somebody with my phone. My mom keeps crying. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, oh, shoot. I didn't tell the kids, like, didn't fill them in on everything. And so that was, I realized then I wasn't communicating well. So I don't remember at what point I finally talked to them. But yeah, that was my son's. So this was all the day before my son's birthday. That was it was his 10th birthday. And then that was just a nightmare dealing with the hospitals, and I couldn't go in. They tell me 10 days, and then they kept telling me 14 days. And then it was like, they just prolonged it. I went in there trying to get them, like, literally was like, can we try something different? And they have this protocol they were stuck with. And I'm usually not a vocal person, but I was like, I need to try something different. Anyways, so after 21 days, well, actually, okay, so on the, I think it was 22 days in, 2 days before my daughter's birthday, I went and sat in the hospital, and I said, I am not leaving until you let me see him. They came in, I went and sat in the a lobby, and they came in and escorted me out with the security guards and a dog. I was like, you kidding me? Like, just because I want to be with my husband. And
Yeah, you look very threatening. Like,
I know,
they better
right?
bring the dog,
right?
send a message, like, wow.
Right. And then
I just have to say real quick, like, in the middle of COVID for me, I was a high school basketball coach, and I was bitching and complaining about no fans at the game and can't play this week, and really thought it was hard to deal with. And I just feel like an idiot now. Just listening to this, I just had to say that. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it's hard. It was I get you. I remember sitting at a wrestling match. They wouldn't let my son come in because only parents could come in, and I'm like, and the gym is empty.
Yeah. And
I'm like, are you kidding me? I was not very happy, but so I'm with you. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
wrap your head around it.
Just man, if Courtney was going through this during, man, my whole
world
perspective of that whole thing is
suddenly
much different.
Right? It won't happen to me.
I'm worried about high school basketball game. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's in the hospital for 21 days.
So I pushed my way in there, and they finally let me go in there. And that's when, because I had been on the phone with them every day. We did FaceTime with him, sort of, as much as possible. We did, we'd call, and they'd put the phone there, and we'd talk to him because he was intubated. So then I go into the room, and with a nurse, and at that point was when they said, have you talked with a respite nurse? And I'm like, what is that? I didn't know what that was. And they're like, I was like, no. And so they bring her in, and that was the first moment they talked about the fact that he might be dying. And
after 21 days,
I was threatening to take him home and do hospice, because at least I could be with him.
Yeah.
At least my kids could say goodbye. Because at that point, we're like, if something happens to him, we didn't even know if we could go in there. You know what I mean? But so after 21 days, so I remember sitting there with the nurse. I cried. And then that's the first time they talked about possibly just letting him go. And I was like, I cannot make this decision. My daughter's birthday was the next day. I'm like, I'm not making this decision. So I stayed there as long as I could. Then the next day was my daughter's birthday. They still wouldn't let me go in every day yet. And it wasn't until I think it was the day after her birthday that they called me and said that I could go in. And so I went and I went in, and mind you, it's only a day in between. His hands and his fingertips had started to turn black. I just remember looking at his hands, and I gasped. And the the nurse was like, what? Because they'd seen the progression all along. And I was like, to see your loved one like that and just to know what might be coming. So there was a doctor that came in. He's like, oh, he's still young. He still has a fighting chance. And I was desperately hoping for that. So I stayed there that day, went home. The next day was Sunday. I went in. The kids went to church. I went to see him. And about 1 o'clock, his heart, I think they call it tachycardic, kept skyrocketing. And she's like, we could shock him. We could try to get it back in the right rhythm. And my heart told me, this is his way of not making me make the decision. Because, I couldn't have pulled the plug. I couldn't have done anything. I couldn't have, that would have killed me. And, so we just kind of let it run its course. Because at that point, he's swollen beyond belief. And just, his body is just shutting down. His kidneys already shutting down. They had already moved. They took him from a lower level, and they put him on a different level because they had have him on a kidney machine, a dialysis machine. And wow, I haven't talked about this. So at that point, I called Jace. I called Ethan. I called them and I told them, you think about you're having your children. You're like, it's time. We're going to have the baby.
Yeah.
This was it's time. Your dad is. How do you tell him your dad is dying? Because
I was gonna ask you. I just didn't want to cut you off at all, but you have 9 kids. You're told your husband might die or is gonna die. Yeah, how are you processing this, and how are you communicating this with your kids?
Them.
And because you're probably thinking well, if he's gonna be okay, then I don't want to tell him yet because he might just be okay. So why? But then it's well, they deserve to know. I'm sure that just had to have been.
I don't remember what I told them, and if I think I need to ask them, but I think I had this at our bishop for our church. He had come over, I think, after I had gone. Oh, so we had gone to give him a blessing one night. This is probably after I don't remember when it was. It was around that 21 days.
It's so hard to remember.
Just,
I mean, for me, some parts of it are vivid. I will
Right.
never forget that. And then other parts, I just don't even remember saying
Right.
that, doing that.
But we had gone in, I said, hey, can you go give him a blessing? And we had gotten permission. No, this is before the 21 days. This is before I was able to go in. They would not, I had to stand. They let him go in. He gowned up, went and gave him a blessing. I had to stand outside this glass door. They wouldn't let me go in the room with him. And mind you, I hadn't been with him for 20 days or whatever.
Did this just feel like a dream, kind of?
Now it does.
You're just watching your husband die, but you can't see him because there's this pandemic going on.
I couldn't do anything.
It's just
you feel so helpless.
What
so
the
helpless.
heck?
I'm like, if I could just be there, if I could just talk to him, if I could just touch him. They're like, oh, we're talking to him, we're touching him. You don't do it the same as, it's not the same as if I was there. You don't touch him like I would. You don't talk to him like I would. You have that human interaction where there's that connection. I don't know. There's just so much information. Anyways, so the bishop had been there all along. or knew about it. One night he came in after that blessing, and I told him, I said, he's not coming home. And I think I told the kids that too, but I don't remember exactly. But that was like after I had seen him in the hospital and his hands are black and stuff. I was like, that's when I knew.
You started to think like this, he might be really about to die.
Yeah. So going back, I called the kids, but it's crazy because looking back, Jace was the one who was like, Mom, he's got this. He's going to be fine. Dad's got this. He's going to pull through. He's strong. He would call me, and he was so optimistic. And I remember calling him and saying, Jace, he's not going to make it. And Jace was the first one there to show up. And Jace was a stinker when he was younger. He was a little bit harder to handle. And he stood at the end of Joe's bed and he said something to the fact that he felt bad for being a tough kid and for doing the stupid things that he did. And I was like, Jace, but look how far you've come. Like, you're doing so good. And so he was the first one to get there. And so we had that moment. And then some of Joe's family came, his brother, but they were all down in the lobby. And at first they would only let us do I think it was 2 at a time. So we had a few tender mercies. And it's hard to admit this because you're like, I don't want any of this. I didn't want this to happen. Mm. But he had moved up to the 3rd floor, and it was by double doors by the visiting area. So it was just easy access to get in and out at the end of the hall by the double doors by the visiting area. And it was, when they got there, it was after like visiting hours was ending, but because of the situation, they let her like 2 come up at a time. Well, then Jace is like, forget this. And because like there was less nurses and stuff. So he brought everybody up to he was didn't run by the rules.
Everyone needs a Jace.
Yes.
It's helpful.
Yes. It was like, when like, he was a good kid, but he just knew what rules to push and
sure.
what, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's a stupid rule. Anyway, so he brought everybody up to
Jace brought him up
to the lobby, and so he would everybody would come in and out 2 at a time. First, my girls came in with him and sat with him, and then I think the boys each went by themselves. I don't think I got a picture with them, but I don't think I got one with Jace. And then eventually Jace just opened up the double doors and brought everybody in. So even everybody that was there, except for my youngest 3, they were too little at the time. There were only 3, just turned 3, 4, and, oh my gosh, 7. Yeah. And so didn't think it was appropriate for them to see their dad in that way. Even with my 10-year-old, I'm like, I kind of questioned whether it was a good idea, but I think he would have felt left out. So my sister was there. We had my brother there, our bishop, and there was another gentleman from the ward that were in the lobby and stuff. And we were in there, and when he passed, I just remember curling up in the bed with him, just laying beside him. They all took their time, and then then they gave me some time with him, and I remember going out. I'm sure you probably felt this way too, somewhat, but I remember leaving to go talk to the kids for a second. I'm like, how do you leave this? How do you walk away from this? Like, how do you walk away from their body? You know what I mean? Like, that was the first time I'd ever dealt with death, like besides an older person. You know what I mean? So like, how do I walk away from this?
Yeah, I remember after we buried all the caskets, we went to the gas station across the street from the literal cemetery, and the funeral was done. And I didn't have a thought past the funeral. I didn't. My mind only went that far. And I just remember like sitting at a gas station. It was my brother, Sage, my nephew, Ran. I think some other people, and just had that thought like, I don't know where to go.
Right.
Like they're all in the. I'm like looking at the heads. Like I'm looking at the funeral service, like closing up, and
this is your life.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know what's my home address. I don't know where do I. Yeah, and
you're just like dumbfounded. Like
you're just.
How do I walk away from him? Like that was my life. We'd got married when I met him when I was barely 18, and we had got married when I was 19, and I grew up with him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And to walk away from that, I was just
unexpectedly, like, 2 months ago, your life's fine.
Yeah, within a month, my husband, like, and there's people who have dealt with it like instantly. So I don't know. I guess every situation's different, but so he passed that night, and then I remember going home just numb. But I remember Jayce took Emma home with her. Ethan took the other kids. Because I was like, nobody's to be alone. Like everybody's with somebody. And Emma went to Jayce's apart with her. He was really sweet. They went and bought an air mattress. He got her all hooked up because he had just gotten a new apartment. And I don't know. We were just in shock. But it was like when they had the funeral and stuff, Jayce had taken off time for work, and we had some pictures we had of a neighbor's house. We had a trunk because we lived in this little tiny 1,100 square foot mobile home because we have property, and the plan was to build a house. In fact, like things kept happening. It was like, nope, you're not going to build now. Nope, you're not going to build now. And so we'd planned in August when he got sick that we were going to start. We have all the plans. We have everything ready to go. And well, that got put on hold again. But anyways, we're in this tiny house, so our neighbors had pictures in this trunk they were saving for us, and the boys brought it over, and they opened it up, and they're like looking at all these pictures and reminiscing about Dad. It was really cool, and I don't know, that was neat to see, and that was neat to remember. But after that, I think we were just kind of in a funk, just raw, and then
I mean, with so many kids and everyone handles grief differently. So here you are as a mother with all these kids, and you're struggling.
7 of them were home. I'm trying to think. Bryce was in between my sister's and my house because he was working for somebody down there. So he was often home. So I don't remember if he actually had moved out and stayed with her yet. But like, yeah, Ethan's birthday was, no, sorry, backing up. Okay, so this starts into reminiscing about Jayce, but
yeah, can I ask how quickly after did Jayce take his own life from?
It was a month later.
It was a month later. Wow. I'm so sorry.
So Jayce's birthday was October 7th. And my sister had come to stay with us to help out. And it was his birthday, and I'd planned to get June, and I was going to meet him for breakfast. There was this place called Snooze that he had taken me to. So I was like, hey, let's meet up there again. And it was before work. So I picked up June and met him there. And, well, back up. My sister was there. So I'm like, hey, why don't you come with me? hindsight, I should have just gone. That's one thing I kicked myself about. Like, I wonder if he would have talked to me if it was just me and him. But, so it was his birthday. We had breakfast with him. And he didn't seem quite himself. But we were all grieving.
Yeah, I mean...
We were all,
yeah.
like, kind of in a funk.
It's almost like to be expected even. Like, well, yeah, his dad just died.
But I don't know. I had this feeling like something's off. After we had eaten, when he went to his car, it was like he's just, I don't know. I didn't know what it was, but I meant to say something. I'm like, oh, I'll ask him later, like if everything's okay. And I didn't. The next time I saw him, he seemed happy. It was fine, and it was himself. It was at the house. It was himself. Next time I saw him, it was Ethan's birthday. So they're a year and a week apart, Jayce and Ethan. So Jace's birthday was October 7th, and Ethan's is the 14th. And so we got together for Ethan's birthday, and that was the last time that I saw him alive. I talked to him, but I remember as he was going to leave, he loved computers. And I had my laptop, and I had gotten a case and a screen protector and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I need to put this on. He's like, oh, I can do that for you real quick before I go. So he puts it on, he gets me all fixed up, and he gives me a hug, and he leaves. And that's the last time that I hugged him. So then October 21st is when he went missing. I had gone to visit my sister because it was her birthday. We went to lunch. And it wasn't until the next morning. I remember being on the phone all morning with Social Security and trying to get like survivor benefits and all that. And sorry. And so like I spent hours on the phone with them. And as soon as I hung up the phone, where Ethan I remember being on the back porch, or the front porch, sorry. And Ethan gets a phone call from Jace's girlfriend. So, saying that he didn't show up for work. I was like, what? Like Jace was...
That doesn't sound like Jace.
No, it was... I was like, are you... Like, that's not... What's
so
going on?
Alarm bells going off for you immediately.
Yes,
like this
immediately. I was like... So Ethan and I jump in the car with, trying to make some phone calls, nothing. We jump in the car and we go up to his apartment, or he's renting a house in a room. And we go to his room and all his stuff is there as if like nothing was missing. Like I didn't know. He had just moved recently, so I hadn't been in there, but he had his computer all set up. He had bed, everything was set up all nice and neat. And a coworker had shown up, and Jace's girlfriend had shown up there. And the coworker, oh my gosh, it's such a long story. He wasn't being straight with us. Jace had let him stay at his place for about 2 weeks. And he was in between places and he needed a place to stay, so Jace let him stay there. And he's like, I remember him pulling on his phone like he had pinned him or something like that. He was trying to find a pin on him. Oh my gosh.
You're literally like remembering this in real time. Like,
So now looking back, like, shoot. It was, dang it. It was probably right. I pulled up an address, and the address was Fred. The house where Jace's ex-girlfriend was, the one, the baby's mama, June's mama. And so, oh my gosh. So I go to drive over there to see if he's over there. And I didn't go in the house because I'm like, I don't want to be a creep. Like, I don't want to, like, I didn't ask him. At this time, I'm like, I'm still hopeful. I didn't think anything.
Yeah.
He's like, his car's not there. He's not there. He would have, if he was, because the pins aren't exactly right. Like, they're not the exact location. Anyways, I didn't see his car. But then this guy, the coworker, he wouldn't show me his phone.
to like show you where the pins were.
Yes, but he gave me this location, or this, I don't remember if he gave me the address or if he just gave me the whereabouts. And I'm like, that's where June lives, his baby. And so that's why we'd gone there. Why I'm freaking out is because I wonder if he had shown me the pin. Just realized this. They found him not very far from there. And shoulda, woulda, coulda, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, so I went there, didn't see him. I drove around a bunch, and Ethan wanted to go home. So he went home. And then he went to the house. He knocked on the door, this guy, and he asked if Jayce was there. And he didn't tell me that he was going there. He didn't say anything to me about that. I don't know if he followed me or if the pin was actually that address. So when I'd gotten home, I got a phone call from June's grandparents, I guess you could say, like saying that this guy had shown up, and I told them what was going on, that, Jayce was missing. And then they shared some information with me that was some things that had been going on that I didn't know about. And so that started the search. I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 days. I guess it really doesn't matter. Like, it all starts to blend together,
You had a missing child for 4 days.
I remember driving home from there, calling this guy in our ward, because I was like, I don't have my husband to go, hey, what do I do? You know what I mean?
Oh my God, this is...
Like, I'm still in shock of that. And I'm like, I'm used to being the one, like, letting him lead. So...
A missing child, like, is your brain just running wild with the worst...
But the thing is...
Like, how do you sleep or do anything?
I didn't. The guilt comes in so bad because, like, I had called this guy from our church, and it's like, what do I do? And he said, call the police, get a police report going, but I had nothing to go off of at that time. Like, I didn't know if he just needed some space. I didn't know.
Yeah, you're not a detective.
He's not one that I ever would have thought would be suicidal, ever. Like, this is just not him. And so that didn't cross my mind to begin with. And then, so we went and searched for him, but I couldn't, like, went back to his apartment. I went back by myself. And that night, I remember my daughter she cheered for football, and I went to her football game. sitting there, like, wondering about my son. I couldn't get a hold of him. I remember calling him. But at that point, I didn't think that it was as big of a deal as it was. I don't know. I could go back and I don't know. I don't know what it would have changed. But so the next day, I went into town. It was Saturday. I went into town, went to his apartment. And this friend that he had let stay with him had ransacked his apartment and took the computer and anything that was of value. He went in, yeah. So I was like, what in the world is going on? I don't remember what. Oh my gosh, it does all start to blur together. I know. I think that day I just kind of searched. No. I'm trying to think if that's the day that I went in. I went into the police station. I'm trying to remember.
Like the day you found him?
No. I had gone in, I think it was that Saturday. I'd gone in and I'd sat at the, because I'd called in before and I'm not getting anywhere and nobody's, like, I didn't know what to do. So then Saturday I went to the police station and I'm like, this is so bad because COVID pneumonia is going around, right? I had kind of lost my voice. I forgot
about the COVID part of the story. Yeah.
I still didn't feel good. I had like symptoms that lingered for a long time. And I had lost my voice when, I don't know if it was just because I was not sleeping or whatever, but like this time I was like, I lost my voice. And so I'm like, here I am trying to talk to people and do things. And I'm like, I don't have COVID. I just have the, residual effects of it, whatever. And I remember went to the police station and they said that they couldn't pin his phone because, oh no, here's where it gets hard.
Now it's going to get hard?
Hold on. No.
This has been brutal the whole time.
Back up. I should have written this down. Sorry.
No, we don't write stuff down.
So Jayce had a girlfriend. Saturday morning, she texts me a text from Jace that he had been suicidal the week before, that he'd already tried to commit suicide and it didn't work. He laid out all his problems to her, like everything. And she never told me. She never said anything. And this was a week before. I was like, and I don't blame her. She didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. So like, if somebody sends you like something like that, like you need to like
tell people.
You need to tell people. You need to respond. You need to like get the word out. Because if you've already tried it, it's like there's one thing to think it, but if you've already tried it, they're all the more capable.
Yeah.
So that was devastating. Oh my gosh. No, back up. I don't know. I'm not going to fill in everything because like there's stories. I went out, my parents had a house out in Hyder, Arizona, and I had gone out there before. I drove with my sister and would come in and like, we just searched. But I just remember Saturday morning getting that text and was like.
Sick to your stomach, probably like, oh no.
My son, like, this is your child, and the fact that they would have those thoughts. And so I went to the police station and I showed him the text. well, of course they said the police station was closed, so I sat in the parking lot and called, and they said somebody would come to me, and I showed him it, and they tried to pin his phone, but they said it had been off too long, that they couldn't get anything, and they couldn't get a reading, and so at that point we knew we were looking at possible suicide. But I look back and there's so many things. I'm jumbling this all up. This is so terrible.
Yeah, usually when I go back to that day and tell it, I just crush it and remember everything perfectly. No, I mean,
it's been 3 years and I haven't really talked about it a lot. Like very minimal. But that Sunday, that Saturday, I remember we did the police stuff. We called every hospital to see. This was before we found out about the suicide note or the text. We called the hospital to see if it was like maybe he crashed his car, maybe he this and that, whatever. I don't know. We tried everything that we could possibly think of to find him.
He did leave a note though, or a text message.
I'll get there.
Sorry.
Well, the text was to his girlfriend Anna. That was just basically laying it out like I'm having problems and I wish he would have just, but he never told me.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything to me. Nothing. Like that's on like his birthday. He didn't say anything to me. He's got all this stuff bottled up and it was just blowing up and blowing up. And like all of it was not a big deal. It was all stuff that was fixable. Like it was with time, money, it all could have been fixed. It was like so minuscule in my eyes. But because he didn't say anything, and he wasn't sleeping, it just boiled out of proportion.
And then the grief on top of it too.
And the grief,
so
and that's
confusing.
The thing, is he just lost his dad, and he's the oldest of 9. I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm like, what were you thinking, child? Like, but so Sunday we had so I feel bad. I called him on Thursday before all this happened. And I said, hey, can you pick up June? Because Sunday we're having a get together. My brother was having a reception, like a wedding reception. And I was like, can you pick up June? And I didn't know there was some problems there. I didn't know that was an issue. And he didn't say anything. And so I feel like I exacerbated things because of what I did. But he didn't.
Man, it's just so hard to watch, like, the guilt you have. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, that's something I can relate to. Like, the guilt feeling. And everyone tells you you don't need to feel this and that. But, like, I don't know.
Yeah. So we, Sunday, we were supposed to go to church. We didn't go. Like, Sunday, like I said, we were supposed to have this. No, it was, never mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. No, it was the ceremony that morning. It was on video. I remember it was during church, so we didn't go to church. And then our bishop shows up during church. I'm like, you should be on the pulpit. Why are you here? And that was really, like, that's something that stuck with me. Like, that was really meaningful to me that he
showed up for you.
Yeah, because, like, there was nothing he could do. But he's like, I know, I'm thinking
showing
of you.
Up matters.
There's something about showing up. Somebody just showing up, like, without a phone call, whatever. Just, I don't know. Something about it just kind of, like, just touches your heart.
Yeah.
And that moment has really stuck with me. And I think it was later that I don't even remember exactly, but we had the reception, and I remember sitting by myself. I went and distanced myself because I was like, my heart wasn't here. My heart, like couldn't find my boy. So my brother from Utah decided to come down to help me look. And which was first I was like, I told my sister, I don't remember saying anything, but I was just like, I was kind of frustrated because I didn't want him to come originally, but they made the decision on their own, which is hindsight. It's a good thing. He came and he helped me. Another brother was there because of the wedding reception. He helped me make flyers. So we put these flyers out. Terry and I went out and went searching, and then we went to the police station and we got an investigator involved, and we were telling, and at this time, Anna was going with me, the girlfriend, and we were just going everywhere, like, and I went to his work again because I was questioning this guy who took everything. I'm like, why did you take all his stuff?
Yeah.
You know, like, it was just a bogus story, whatever. And it's just, so I would go there. And we'd get a little more information every day. It was like a little bit more information, a little more information every time I talked to the coworker. And, the gentleman that I had called to, about like, what do I do? Like, told me to call the police. He had come over because I'd gotten the plates for his coworker, and I was like, can you just check it, see if he's legit, like whatever is going on. Turned out fine, but he's just, I don't know what happened there, but it was just hard because there was just so many intricate pieces.
Real quick, I'm just gonna adjust your mic a little bit.
You doing okay, Rachel?
Yeah, this is hard.
You're very
So
brave.
hard. I thought I'd remember things more in.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you haven't talked about it. I was curious, and maybe Mace, you can ask this, if you're willing to talk about it, but you mentioned he wasn't sleeping. Was that because, do you mind asking her that? Because I feel like that is actually a very, very, very common
Precursor to.
Yeah, they're not sleeping.
Mm-hmm. So maybe ask that.
I could tell you why.
Well, I think the not sleeping.
That was a huge factor in it. Huge. Because you could become.
Well, I think it's just a cocktail mix of a lot of bad things for him, but that was definitely one of them. Like the not sleeping I think that's a common trait a lot of people who go down that road suffer from is
Like insomnia.
They can't sleep.
So, like I said, every day that I was searching for him, I'd find out something else that was going on, something that
like about his life, like
that he wasn't telling me. And like I said, like these are to him seemed unsurmountable. I just didn't know what to do with them. Like to me, like, oh, this is no big deal. We'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a man. That's what men do. You just, you deal with stuff. You don't ask for help ever. You just bury it deep down.
Well, that's what's hard though.
And it's better to die than ask for help is what, like, that's the honest truth. Like, that's how hard it is to ask for help. People would rather not do it.
In the book, The Boy, the Fox, the Mole, and the Horse, he says, what's the bravest thing you've ever done?
Ask
for help.
Yeah.
It's hard. But what's hard for me is like he would usually, if he needed something, he'd usually come to me. He would usually say, hey, Mom, can I borrow the car? My car's not working.
But now with...
Okay, I think because my dad... I'm sorry. I think because of like things that happened with his dad, his emotional state, he's not sleeping. He's the oldest. He's like, I should be better. Like, I feel like he had all these feelings of like, I should be the one holding everybody up. And here I am causing problems. I think he felt like a burden.
I think you're spot on. I think being the oldest sibling, like that sense of providing, and then man, he doesn't want to ask you for help. You just lost your husband.
Right.
So he's thinking,
I don't want to be a burden.
I can't be a burden to my mom because she's just going through it. So I can't ask her for help. And the messed up thing is that's pure out of love. Like, he did that because he loves you. Like, he was trying to protect you and help you by, okay, can't ask her for help. I can handle this on my own.
Right.
And it's really unfair and sad.
But that's the hard part is like, you don't know the hurt. Like how much easier would it have been just to come to me instead of the devastation aftermath. I mean, when Joe passed, we had gone on a little vacation because I'd taken the kids, went to Lake Havasu, and we spent a couple days together. And we had the best time. The boys, Ethan and Jayce, had gotten Legos, and they were sitting at Lake Havasu, and they pulled them out on the picnic table, and like old times, they were playing with Legos together. And like, you had this time. Like, why didn't you say something? And like looking back, I'm like, there was little things that like, okay, maybe I should have asked, but I tried to stop giving advice and stuff. I'm trying to give like them. He's older now, so it's like I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't want to like, it's hard to know when to help, when not to help, and I don't. He didn't say he needed anything. He seemed fine. We had this vacation it was beautiful. It was great. He was super. I remember the day we were packing up, he had packed everything up for me. He was my go-getter, my doer. He was the sweetest thing. And so I was like, why didn't you say something? Like, that's all it would have taken to blow all this steam off. You know what I mean? But yeah, so he wasn't sleeping because of all the things that were in his head, things that were going on with work, and I don't want to get into it because like this is his business. And like I said, to me, it wasn't a big deal. It was not a big deal. It was like fixable things. And but to him, not sleeping and not eating and losing his dad, I don't think he was in his right mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't. Like, because like, sleep can just mess you up horrifically.
And then like, I think it's just a combination of all these things. And then one of the last phases of it is you truly think in your heart and in your mind that your kid and your wife and your family is better off without you. Like you convince yourself of that, and when you get that far, the worst thing could happen because that's what you think. Like, this is the courageous thing to do. This is
They don't like.
I
don't want to be a burden. Yeah,
like
they think they're doing something that's helpful,
yeah.
and it's not. I remember a neighbor told me after Jayce passed, she was like, one time she had come down and she said, Jayce told her it's kind of sad because my little brothers won't know what it's like to have their dad around. Mind you, this is Jayce. Of course, he's in this right mind at that point, And now I'm like, my little boys don't know what it's like to have their brother around. And it's not because of an illness. It's not because of an accident, per se. You know what I mean? It was his own doing. And that's a hard pill to swallow. So...
And it doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that. And I feel like you think it might mean that. But no one thinks that. I think the only one that might think that is you because you just are heartbroken. But no one thinks that.
Believe me, you beat yourself up because you go through every scenario when they're a baby to when they're... Excuse me. You're like, oh, maybe if I had done this different, maybe if I had talked to him this way, or maybe if I had... every parenting mistake you ever made haunts you and comes back at you. And yeah, so going back, my brother had come down, and my other brother Trevor had made flyers. And so we got those printed, and we went to go take them and like just looking at different places where he might have gone. We kept, following trails and taking the flyers with us. Anna was with us, and then eventually we went and took her home, and then we went to another place. Just some place that he had thought of, maybe he'd been hiding out. I don't know. I just like hopeful still that he was just hiding out somewhere. And then it was late, so we went to head home. And we went, the way I took him home, we ended up hitting some construction stuff and went a funky way. Had I took him the right place, the right way, it makes me wonder if we would have come across the scene. So back when I first found out he was missing, I remember going in the parking lot by Baby June's house, her parents, but where she lived. And we're sitting in the parking lot of the school and just praying to find him. But then so we're driving home, and my sister had called, and it's like, hey, when are you guys gonna be home? Making things seem normal. No big deal. And we're on our way. We're getting there. It was like probably a half hour later. We were home. We had just gotten some information. He had gotten a couple tickets, and which for his age, absolutely normal, right? He had to show up in court. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
didn't it say in his obituary he liked to go fast or something, right?
Yes, a little too fast. So we'd just gotten, I thought it was some cool information because he had a court date and he didn't show up, but we could find out the next day if he had called in. So I was excited to, and mind you, there's the bishop and this other gentleman from the ward had been there kind of helping me along the way. And so they were at my house. The two of them were on my front porch, and I didn't think anything of it at the time because I was so excited. Like, I've got this type of information, like another step, another thing. No. I didn't think anything of it. So I walk up on the porch all excited with these papers. Mm-hmm. And Brother Cook says, he looks at me and says, we found Jayce. And by the look in his eyes, I knew he was gone. It's just the way he said it to me. And now I know why they tell you to sit down. Mm. When you go to tell somebody, I just started to crumple, and my brother was there, and I remember him grabbing me because I just started screaming. I was just mad. I'm mad at the situations that were going on that I didn't know about. was mad that, yeah, I just screamed. I didn't even cry that night. I think I was in so much shock. If I did, I don't remember.
I mean, Joe just passed away. Still,
I
I
was just
mean,
like, how do you, you know, grieve without your spouse? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, it's awful. Like
Yeah.
when you've gone to this one person, and I kept my circle pretty small, I realized. Like, so I remember Lydia had come out. At the time she was 15. She'd come out, and I think she'd heard it, and she took off. So I freaked out going, you know, I didn't want her to take off and be by herself, and grabbed her, and I was just dumbfounded. But at that moment I went into like, I need to let everybody else know. I need to worry about everybody else's feelings.
and this is so me. Like, you get the news and you're broken and you're in shock and denial and anger, and then there's this part of you, like the acceptance, that's like, okay, like we have to tell other people and we have to like keep
I guess
going.
news was spreading fast, and my son Bryce was down in Tucson at the time, and I was like, I don't want anybody else to tell him. I don't want him to find out, like, that. I didn't want them to find out before I told him. But I do remember sitting like in the midst of my screaming match. I sat down on the porch and I called my best friend, Wisconsin, and we're rocking and just calling her and telling her they had found Jayce. That's really hard to say. So she's the only one I called at that point. Then we hopped in the car to go tell Bryce, and my bishop had he'd hopped in the car with us so he could help Bryce bring his car back home, because you knew he wasn't gonna stay there. Actually, I don't know if at that point we knew that, but he went with us to tell him because he knew Bryce. And so we're driving down there, and then Bryce calls me. And I guess Macy had called my sister, and my sister she didn't know. I hadn't told her. And he calls me and he says, should I just come home? I was like, oh, you know. But it was, I don't know. I guess it was good for me to get out of myself, because I was just worried about everybody else. I mean, what else? Like, I don't know, just curl up in a ball and you just want to die yourself.
Yeah.
But then, so after we were there for a little bit, and I remember talking, my brother-in-law was there, and he's like, this is all fixable. It was like, so not a big deal. Like, it's just, so I got in the car with Terry. We headed to Phoenix to tell Anna, his girlfriend, the one that had been with us through it all. And then the bishop, Bryce, had this little Toyota. And the bishop is like 6'2", 6'4". I don't know exactly how tall. He's really tall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody loves you when they're willing to drive home an hour in a car that they're in Tilton.
Like Ace Ventura, just head out the window.
Like, I remember that night looking, it was a good laugh. It was a good, like, get out of my head moment. Because I remember they were sitting in front of us, and he gets in the car with Bryce because he was going to drive it home for Bryce. Because I was just like, oh, that's a good man right there.
That is good.
Yeah. So,
and like when you're in that much darkness, like any chance you can just get a breath or a little laugh, like, wow, like, okay. Like, yeah, like it does give you a lot of hope.
It's just a little light in the darkness, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
like yeah.
So Terry and I headed up to Anna's house, and she was asleep. Her mom was up because it was late by the time we got up there, like 11 o'clock. And I told her that they had found Jayce, and I just wrapped my arms around her, and we just cried. And I think I went numb after that.
You still numb today? I mean, this was what, 2
3
years?
years ago.
3 years ago?
No, I've had a lot of, I don't know, no, because I feel it. It hurts. It hurts to say it. It hurts to talk about it. It hurts to.
I mean, you just lost your husband a month later, kid to suicide. Like, what have you been doing for 3? Sorry, keep going. I just.
Oh, it's a long story. That's where my hell begins.
Yeah.
So we go. Talk to her, and then I go home. I don't remember if it was the next day, but we had to clean out his apartment.
That's hard.
Mind you, this coworker had gone in and stolen half of his stuff. So amongst missing him, we're trying to find out information on that. And I can't do anything because it's not my place. And, I'm his mom, but it's not my stuff. And he's over 18. And that was a whole big spiel. And he wasn't being straight with us. That was frustrating. But went in, packed up. I remember Anna was there. My sister was there and packed up his stuff as much as, packed up all of it. I remember laying in the bed with her and just crying. It just doesn't seem real. I remember asking her, why didn't you send me this text? And I've been really careful to let her know, it is not her fault.
But this is what grief is, though. It's sadness and understanding, and then also anger.
Yeah,
at the all together, and it's really
Oh, so backing up, Thursday night, what had happened? There's some things that happened that day. I don't want to talk about that kind of threw him for a loop. He didn't know what to do with.
Man, I do have to say, though, and we definitely don't have to talk about it, but this is another common thing that we've noticed with everyone I've talked to is the day of matters. They are in this really bad headspace in this specific day, and they get super confused and lost, and they make a really bad decision.
And that's what it is.
And a lot of people think if they just made it through that moment, probably still be here today. And that's something that I'm learning, and really terrifying.
Right.
Because they can just kind of be in that depressed state for so long, and then terrible day, terrible moment.
Right.
Things change quickly. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is a common
It's that day. That day was huge. And in fact, he had a crappy week. And it's there's so many
months
things.
too, his dad. Sorry, I just keep.
And
I
his
just
dad
can't.
passed.
Oh yeah.
So he's never dealt with this before. You know what I mean? Grief. He didn't know what that was like. I didn't know what that was like. And then having problems or things. Like I said, this is typical kids, his age, not teenagers, young adult stuff, in my opinion. So that day, something happened, and he had gone to work. He got off work later than planned. He was supposed to go out with Anna, and she had fallen asleep. And when he called, he had woken her up, and he's like, that's okay, never mind, because they were going to go out. And he said, that's okay, never mind, just go back to bed. And she later told me this stuff when we were sitting at the cemetery one day. She said that When she got off the phone with him, she tried to get a hold of him again. She tried to call him back, and he didn't answer. And she says, Jayce, I have a bad feeling about this. But in that moment, I wish she would have called me. I wish she would have texted Ethan or somebody or something. Like I didn't know about the note. I didn't know about this. And that was the last she ever heard from him. Was after, like, he didn't respond after that.
Yeah.
He got rid of his Facebook. He got rid of his, not Facebook, he got rid of his Instagram. I guess because you can track on some of the apps, you can track where their location
So you
is.
just got rid of him.
So he got rid of them. He deleted them. And so, like, here's what I realized with suicide. If somebody sends you a lifeline, take it. Grab on. Hold on. He didn't take those. And that's what makes me mad. People reaching out. But he was so determined in his head that this is my only option. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what was going on in his head exactly. But obviously the outcome was what it is. But he could have reached out. He had people there.
No, I think I think that's really good advice.
Take the lifelines. If you don't, that's when you drown. It's like somebody sends you a rope and you don't even grab it. And that's I guess what I want people to realize. It's like, yes, everybody has, not everybody, but most people have a moment in their life where they feel like they're drowning. But are you just going to drown, or are you going to you're going to grab the hand that's reaching out for you? And he didn't do that. I think it was the not sleeping. It was the I hate to mention this, but I think that fathers get a bad rap I think they get left out a lot when parents separate. They weren't married, but when relationships separate, so he was having issues there, and he felt like a failure.
He wasn't able to see June a lot.
Yeah. That was a struggle. And so he forgot his worth. You're more than your problems. You know what I mean? This is just a problem.
Well, you're more than your problems. Yeah. Cause wow. Yeah.
What's worth more, your life or this problem? Like somebody had mentioned on Facebook when, after all this, they'd put on such a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And it's oh so true. But I don't think this age realizes what how do I say it? This age group is just.
Say it, Rachel. You
I don't even know how to say it. But
I think maybe, and I don't know, try to talk loud enough so people can hear. You talk a lot about the moment that if he could have, and not just Jayce, but so many of the people that we talk with, you have to trust that this storm is going to pass.
Right.
But when you're in the middle of it,
you don't see a way out.
Yeah. I'm gonna change the batteries here real quick.
Yeah.
On this, and then we
We gotta start wrapping it up.
Oh my gosh, this isn't even half of it.
But we could. I was gonna. No.
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep talking to you, but we have another one scheduled. Anyway, we can have a part 2 with you. I know are you from Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
But we did that. We just barely did that with Kelly. She came on for 2 hours, and she's like, and then she messaged me like a week later, and she's like, I still have more to say. I'm like, yeah, I think you do. So
well, then it starts with my journey. Like that's where it's like, I literally.
I feel bad because I want you to have all the time in the world, but we do have another person coming at 2. Okay. But
Wow.
How hard
It's already
is-
been too long.
How hard is it for you to get here?
It's 12 hours, but we could like eventually. Yeah. I'm coming up actually in March.
You're in Tucson?
She's
No, I'm
Tucson.
well, no, it's Florence. It's in between Mason. I'm coming up in March for a grief conference.
There's a grief conference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has so much more to say, and it's so good. I don't want to make it worse by cutting her off.
I agree with
But the reality is,
But I
like,
guess here's the thing with my after the fact, I'm like, I guess I want people to hear the aftermath
no, I do too. Like,
because
I'm sitting here like we
it
haven't even
has
gotten
to
to the 90% yet. Yeah.
right. And it's like, okay, it doesn't end. My story doesn't end here. Yes, it's hell. Yes, it's are you recording?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got you're recorded. You said hell. Uh-oh, Rachel.
New things happen.
What's
all the
that
time.
bishop's name of yours? I gotta give him a call.
Don't tell him. Just kidding.
Okay, how about this idea? Let's try to wrap it up in the next, just like the 10%,
Okay.
and then we'll figure it out, and we'll have the 90% on.
So this is their story, I guess you could say. It's our grief story in
Yeah.
essence. And then it's like I have our journey afterwards. It's the ripple effect,
Yeah.
mind you. Because we had everybody at home at that time. I think so we had 8 kids at home, or I did 8 kids at home at like when all this happened. And so it didn't just affect me. And I have 12 siblings.
Yeah.
So, which he could have reached out to any one of them. Like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I don't know, but like, I think we need to stop making suicide in our heads an option.
Yeah.
It's not an option. You know what I mean? Yes, this hurts, but I can get past like this storm. You know, this is just momentarily my feelings. But when we don't talk about it, we don't say anything to anybody, that feeling just grows, just like a balloon. Like you're blowing up a balloon, and you keep blowing it up and you keep blowing it up because that picture in your head just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it finally explodes. And it's like, I can't handle this anymore. You know what I mean? And what they feel like the only option is to take their life. You know, if your thoughts can be so powerful that they can take you to your grave, why can our thoughts be so powerful that they can take us to places we can't even imagine, like wealth, or you know what I mean, like prosperity.
Yeah.
Like,
no, the mindset is
it's
the
your mindset.
perspective.
Yeah, it's your perspective. And it's like,
I love that. Like, yeah, if our thoughts are, I mean, that's like one of the worst things. If our thoughts are powerful enough to drag us that low, then obviously they're.
then how high can they take us?
Yeah. No, yeah.
How high can our thoughts take us? You know, and I have been through this. I have been on my own journey to find peace. And I've finally gotten to a place where I can, because of the actions and things that other people have done for me going through my journey, I want to be that person.
Yeah, the we is greater than me.
For other people. You know, I want to do that.
That's
they did
another
that for
common
me.
theme, yeah.
My bishop showed up for me, and so he would show up at my house just unannounced, just stop by, say hi. Other people would stop by just to say hi. That meant the world to me.
Yeah,
like these little things.
That's why I started speaking. Is like, okay, all these people showed up for me. Like, I got to do something.
Right.
And now, like, that's such a powerful. I mean, we've had so many people on here. Like, people looked all night for me, and that's why I keep going.
Right.
We is greater than me. That's such a powerful lesson.
And I guess I have a lot of situations where I've seen the difference. I saw how people reacted after Joe passed, and it was a completely different reaction after Jayce. That threw me for a loop.
Can you so
So
Joe was
after
probably
Joe,
more like this.
He was bishop of a ward. Everybody knew him.
Oh wow!
So
And then
People came
Jayce-
to me.
And then Jayce took his own life, so it's like this.
They came to me and we loved Joe and they tell me stories.
Oh man!
After Jayce,
it's like don't.
My
talk.
world went silent. It was really, really hard.
Wow.
And I'm not very social, so that was hard for me. Like I needed people, and I feel like instead of connecting this time, they disconnected.
That was just such a profound example of the stigma of the whole thing.
And I've realized, like reading books and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who have dealt with suicide. People disconnect from them, and they need more because the guilt is so bad. Because like, you think you don't remember things? Oh, just. I would touch stuff. I would look at stuff and I would see, like, I remember all the mistakes that I made as a parent
Rachel.
just come flooding back. And like, they haunt you.
Yeah.
Like it eats you alive. And it
does.
But I can get an understanding now more so though of what he was feeling because I've been that low. I've been there. But it was those lifelines. Those people who showed up. Those people who, when I disconnected, would try to connect. And so few people said anything to me afterwards. There was this one person in our ward. She says, I know you've got a lot. Sorry, I'm going to butcher this. I know you've got a lot going on, but you look really well put together. And that one statement has it wasn't, how are you? It wasn't asking me a question. It was just acknowledging how I felt and giving me a compliment. And it meant the world to me. So now I try to notice things in people, something I can say beyond how are you? Because honestly, how are you hurts so bad.
I don't know
if you're not willing to put in the time.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you? And then walk away. It is the most, I don't know, for you, it was very painful. Yep. And still, I cringe when people say that. And I'm trying not to. Like, hello, it's good to see you.
When people ask me, how are you? I freeze. I'm like, okay, do I tell them the absolute truth? I'm good, are you? And then just walk away. Like, what? Which is usually what it is. But like,
I started
what are we doing
peachy
here?
because at least it's not like I'm feeling like I'm dying inside. What am I supposed to say?
Yeah, like I want to die, but I can't. So I'm here. How are you doing? And just see what they do. Like,
so my hope is like just to be the kind of person that other people were for me. Just bringing more light into the world and just to bring more joy. But
Rachel, I loved our conversation. I feel like I always talk about there's different parts of my grief, and I feel like you're the same, and they were all on display. Like the flip from anger, like why didn't he say anything? Why didn't he ask for help? And then complete love and understanding, and then the denial and the confusion, and then just like
all over the place.
I'm watching you in real time remember things that you blocked out with denial, and like. It was really just a pleasure to like talk with someone like me. Like this is me. Like you just flip through all these emotions, and we're literally laughing and then crying within 10 seconds of each other. And that's just how it
life,
is.
Right? It's like you live, laugh a little, cry
okay,
a little.
let's end with the 3 books.
Okay, so I brought 3
and then
books.
We'll plan a session 2 with you.
Okay, so I brought 3 books: The Boy, the Fox, the Mole, the Horse, and then another one is called Maybe. Okay, The Boy, the Fox, the Mole, the Horse is just...
I love this book. This is great.
It's just great little...
all the pictures.
Let me see real quick. There's one spot in. Just a way of saying, like, dealing with grief and stuff. It says, what do you do when your heart's hurt? Asked the boy. We wrap them with friendship, shared tears, and time till they wake up hopeful and happy again. And like you said, sleep is huge. Like, we're not sleeping, we're not thinking straight. There's another one said, let's see if I can find it. What's the greatest illusion? And what's the greatest illusion? I think that life has to be perfect. Like that's like it just has so many just little tidbits of information.
Yeah, I love that
So
book.
part of the problem with suicide is that from the research that I've done is that once it's in their heads, your family's heads and stuff, you're more susceptible to it. Whether that's reality, I don't know. So my goal is to find books and put the words in my children's heads, because my youngest is now 6, and oh my gosh, there's so much I want to say. Like one night when we were going to bed, the 3 little ones would sleep with me because I kind of gave up. I'm like, I don't want to deal with putting you guys to bed. Like they just cuddle with me. We go to sleep.
Yeah.
One night, AC asked, Mom, how did Dad die?
Oh, wow.
And I said, he was sick. And then he asked, how did Jayce die? At the time, I didn't know what to say. And this wasn't even a year in.
Yeah.
And I told him he took too much medicine. Because he did. He took sleeping pills. And then recently I was having a conversation with the kids again. My daughter, who was 7 at the time, 6. She's 9 now. We were having because you kind of, as they're growing up, I've kind of realized I'm having to have this conversation with them again because they don't comprehend the same.
Yeah.
And they're,
and it develops and it
right.
changes.
And it's like, right. And it's like they can handle only so much at a time.
Right.
So I was telling her some stuff, and then she looks at me and says, you mean he did it on purpose? And it just broke my heart.
Such a good conversation, though, because these are this is what's on her mind. Yeah.
Right, yeah. He did it on purpose. Like, how do you... I remember sitting on the sidewalk talking to her and telling her we'd have to have another funeral. You know, and like, don't do this to anybody.
Yeah.
As much as it hurts in the moment.
The ripple of pain.
The ripple effect. So I tried to, if your words can be so powerful, that I'm trying to find books that help out. In fact, hold on.
No, so we got one here. So we got The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And then the other 2 are...
This one's Maybe. It's about, maybe you're here for a greater cause. Maybe,
Maybe, just maybe, you'll exceed your wildest dreams. What? Oh, sorry.
And then this one is, it's I Am Love. And it's basically...
I like that they're all children's books. It's my reading level. There's pictures. And it's great.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Like one of the things is it's what can I do? It's basically what can I do? What can I do when I see someone going through a storm? And it's just what to do for somebody who's struggling and grief or I think a lot of different things in life. But my counselor had that. And they have this whole series. It's like I am love, I am peace, I am human, I am courage. And it's been great to read to my kids so they fill their heads with like, I can do this. I can do hard things.
Yeah.
And so, like we're stronger than these problems.
I love these books. My mom wrote a children's book to help her grandkids and people help deal with grief too. I think it's a powerful way. I didn't mean to rush you at the end.
It's okay.
Let's have you come back on and do a part 2, but we just have to wrap it up.
It's okay.
But thank you so much for coming on. You're so brave, and you're going to help a lot of people, and life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.